I never imagined I'd be sitting in the middle of my bedroom floor in my wedding dress, mascara running down my cheeks, holding my phone like it was some sort of weapon that had just destroyed my entire life. But that's exactly where I was the day everything changed. My name is Lauren Mitchell, and what happened to me wasn't just betrayal, it was a cruel twist of fate that shattered everything I believed in. I thought I was doing everything right. I had built a good life, worked hard, and was finally about to marry the man I loved. Ethan was sweet, reliable, and thoughtful. We had been together for almost 4 years. He proposed to me in the middle of a cozy snowfall in Vermont during a holiday trip. I cried and said yes instantly. From that day on, my life felt like a dream, until it turned into a nightmare. Ethan dove into wedding planning almost more than I did. He was so involved, it was endearing. He booked the venue, called the vendors, coordinated the invitations. Every other day, he'd call with updates. "Babe, I found a string quartet for the ceremony," or "I talked to the florist, you'll love what they're doing with the roses." My heart would swell with joy every time he called. I had no idea that while he was planning our future, someone else was orchestrating my downfall. It started with little things: missed calls, unread texts, unanswered emails. My best friend, Rachel, who had always been there for me since college, started acting strangely. She canceled lunch plans last minute, stopped texting me back like she used to, and when we did talk, she seemed distracted. I chalked it up to work stress. Rachel was a nurse working crazy shifts. I didn't think twice about it, until I did. One day, I stopped by her apartment unannounced. I had gotten us both coffee and thought it would be a fun surprise. But when I got there, she didn't answer the door. I could hear music inside. Her car was parked right out front. I knocked again, louder this time, and eventually, she opened the door, looking like she had seen a ghost. "Lauren, hey," she stammered, hair disheveled, shirt inside out. My instincts kicked in. Something was wrong. My eyes darted past her shoulder. A pair of men's shoes sat by the door. Not just any shoes, Ethan's shoes. I felt like the ground dropped out from beneath me. "Is Ethan here?" I asked quietly. Her lips parted, but no words came out. I didn't wait for confirmation. I pushed past her, heart thudding so hard I could barely hear. Ethan stepped out of her bedroom, shirtless, his face white as a sheet. We stood there in silence. My best friend, my fiancé, my life, crumbling before my eyes. "You did this to me," I whispered, my voice hollow, foreign even to my own ears. Rachel tried to speak, to explain, but I couldn't listen. My ears rang. My vision blurred. I walked out and slammed the door behind me. The hours that followed were a blur. I drove for hours without knowing where I was going. I ended up at my parents' house on the other side of town, parked in the driveway, and sobbed for what felt like days. When I finally had the strength, I told my mom everything. She held me while I cried, didn't ask questions, didn't tell me to be strong. She just let me break. I needed that. Ethan tried to call me. I didn't answer. He sent messages. Long paragraphs begging me to talk. I read the first 2 words and blocked him. Rachel left voicemails, apologizing, crying, saying it was a mistake, that it just happened, that she didn't mean for any of this. But it did happen. They let it happen. Over and over. I found out later they had been seeing each other for months. It wasn't just a drunken one-time mistake. It was planned, deceitful, and deliberate. And it happened while he was planning a wedding to me. Canceling the wedding was its own kind of grief. The calls, the emails, the refunds. Every vendor had to be told. Every RSVP had to be rescinded. I sent out a simple message to our guests. "The wedding has been called off. Thank you for your understanding." That was it. No details. I couldn't stomach telling the full truth. The pity in their voices, the shock, the murmurs behind my back, I avoided them all. I shut down my social media. I didn't leave the house for a week. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I kept looking at the dress hanging on the back of my door. The one I was supposed to walk down the aisle in. The one that now felt like a cruel joke. But as painful as it was, something shifted in me after a while. I realized I had been building my life around someone else's image of happiness. I had ignored red flags because I wanted so badly to believe in the dream. I had given everything, my trust, my time, my future, to people who didn't deserve it. And in losing them, I found something I never expected: myself. I started going for long walks every morning. I began therapy. My therapist, a kind woman named Denise, helped me pick up the shattered pieces one session at a time. She never rushed me, just reminded me that healing wasn't linear.
Some days I was fine.
Other days, I'd burst into tears at the smell of Ethan's cologne or a memory triggered by a song on the radio. But little by little, I got stronger. One afternoon, I walked into a bookstore and met someone who didn't know anything about me, about the pain, the betrayal, the ruined wedding. His name was Caleb, and he worked in the small cafe inside the shop. He smiled and asked what I was reading. We ended up talking for 2 hours. I didn't tell him my story that day, or the next, or even the next month. We just talked about books, movies, coffee, dreams. It was refreshing. No pressure. No expectations. Just real connection. Over time, I did tell Caleb what happened. He didn't flinch. He didn't try to fix it. He just listened. And in that, he gave me something I hadn't had in a long time: peace. It wasn't about falling in love again. It was about learning to trust myself, to know my worth, to believe that I could love and be loved without losing myself in the process. I won't say I'm glad it happened. That would be a lie. But I will say this: sometimes the worst thing that ever happens to you is also the thing that sets you free. I don't think I would have ever left Ethan, even if some part of me suspected things weren't right. I would have married him, built a life on a foundation of lies, and lost more than just time. Instead, I was given a second chance to start over, to build something real, from the ground up. Rachel moved away eventually. I heard she started working at a hospital in Texas. I don't wish her harm. I don't wish Ethan harm either. I just don't wish them in my life anymore. I unfollowed. I blocked. I moved forward. Not out of anger, but out of self-respect. I don't need closure from them. I gave that to myself. Today, I'm standing on new ground. Stronger, wiser, and no longer apologizing for putting myself first. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know this: I will never again ignore my gut. I will never again let someone else define my happiness. And I will never again wear a dress for someone who doesn't truly see me. "You did this to me," I used to say, but not anymore. Now I say, "This happened for me." And that simple shift changed everything.